Your connective tissue holds a library of your physical history. What if the deep layers beneath your skin are not just scaffolding for organs? What if they are sophisticated sensors reading minute shifts in strain, vibration, and pressure from every moment you live? These dense webs, the fascia, are saturated with high-density mechanoreceptors that function like microscopic seismographs. They are not waiting for a major injury. They are continuously broadcasting incredibly subtle feedback about your body's integrity to the central nervous system. This intricate data stream, known as deep somatic wisdom, is far more complex than just pain signals telling you something hurts. It is constant, high-resolution biological information that dictates how calm or stressed your autonomic state remains, a silent conversation happening between structure and mind. The real breakthrough is that these deep fibers do not just sense strain. They respond to vibration itself, like a highly sensitive tuned instrument. When tissue microstructures shift or vibrate due to movement, those tiny oscillations couple directly with the proprioceptive nerves. This is not passive data collection, it modulates your autonomic state in real time. It essentially allows your connective tissue to act as an energetic tuning fork, subtly shifting whether you are in a high-stress sympathetic mode or a calm parasympathetic one. These complex signals reveal not just what is injured today, but the deep somatic patterns of how long tension has been held. It gets stranger than just tension storage. The real mind-blowing thing is that these deep tissue patterns are not just habits. They are a kind of living somatic archive. Imagine your connective tissue as an incredibly complex, low-frequency geological record. It logs every instance of sustained biomechanical stress from how you moved when you were small or moments ago. This pattern signal accumulation within the peripheral system is what researchers call ancestral memory in action. It is not just a physical habit. It is information about chronic survival strategies stored directly in your tissue matrix, telling your brain how to hold itself under perceived risk. Which means something nobody expected for understanding why certain patterns feel inherently ingrained and impossible to shake off through conscious effort alone. But here is where it gets genuinely wild. We talked about tissue holding a history, but those deep signals are not just logging internal strain. They are tuning your entire biological frequency. The subtle oscillations captured by these nerves do not stay local, they couple directly into the autonomic nervous system itself. Think of fascia not as storage, but like an exquisitely calibrated antenna that is constantly modulating global state. This vibratory coupling allows you to influence vagal tone from something incredibly minute. However, some skeptics argue this systemic modulation effect simply does not exist beyond simple feedback loops. Who knows who is right? But the data suggests we are interacting with a deep, resonant flow far bigger than muscle fibers alone. You need to see how they quantify that resonance next. The data is getting granular now. It is not just a simple switch between stress and calm. It is about complexity. Think of your connective tissue as an organic quantum recorder capturing patterns so dense they form unique biological signatures, like fingerprints of movement history. These complex afferent signals are what researchers call deep embodiment, transforming subtle physical input into something the brain interprets as profound self-knowledge or innate wisdom. It changes perception itself. But here is the critical missing piece. How does your central nervous system actually translate those incredibly dense vibrational patterns from connective tissue directly into a feeling of self or an intrinsic understanding of being? We have only mapped the signal generation. The decoding mechanism remains hidden in the neural architecture, and that is where everything pivots. But here is where everything breaks open. We assume that information travels up to the brain, and then the brain translates it into meaning. The pivot suggests the reverse might be true. These subtle patterns of deep mechanical stress are not just being read by your nerves like a volume dial being turned up or down. They are creating complex frequency modulations in the very architecture of perception itself. Think of your body not as separate parts, but as one massive biological resonator tuned to ambient fields and internal shifts, like an ancient tuning fork picking up subtle vibrations from everything around it. This process moves beyond simple sensation. We are talking about a resonance feedback loop that literally structures how you perceive reality, linking tissue integrity directly to subjective awareness of self. The conclusion is profound but surprisingly practical. This entire system, from the subtle vibration to your sense of self, is not something you just observe. It is a dynamic dialogue. You do not have to wait for a crisis to listen to this feedback loop. The actionable shift is in how you approach movement and presence, treating every stretch or deep breath as data entry into that somatic archive. Instead of chasing pain relief, start asking, what information is my tissue trying to communicate right now? By changing the quality of your internal engagement, moving with awareness rather than force, you begin tuning the receiver itself. This is not about fixing a muscle. It is about recalibrating perception at its deepest level. The full research archive is at jmtomasofficial.com. Stop viewing this process as another set of techniques to master. The truth is, you are witnessing the mechanics behind self-redefinition itself. This deep resonant communication loop means that your physical state has become a biological barometer for everything else in your life, your emotional resilience, your focus, and your deepest sense of purpose. It is not about chasing external perfection. It is about accepting the data stream as pure insight into who you are right now. When you shift from being an observer of sensation to becoming an interpreter of somatic wisdom, you fundamentally rewrite how your system organizes itself. This is biological self-mastery at its most primal level. The full research archive is at jmtomasofficial.com.